Okay, before we continue with Mezuzah, there's one thing we're talking about in the dinim of tefillin, about eating or drinking when you're wearing tefillin. So we're discussing that a little bit, but then I saw even more so, Poskim Takarayt, you're not allowed to. You really shouldn't eat or drink during tefillin. This, that it says in Halacha, you're allowed to eat or drink during tefillin, that's when they wore tefillin the whole day. So then, like it says, some Sefer, after, when he was learning in tefillin, or after a while, so he would eat or drink, something very small. But B'chlal today, the Pasuk, Shulchan and others write that you really shouldn't eat or drink in tefillin, because it's only during the duration of davening. And during davening, for sure, you can't eat or drink while you're actually davening. Between tefillin until you take off the tefillin, you shouldn't be eating or drinking. I mean, a person can, it's not 10 hours. It's,
so you're drinking coffee is another problem.
You should not be drinking coffee while you're wearing tefillin. That's the minhag today. Halachically, because they used to wear tefillin the whole day. When you wear tefillin the whole day, so then you could eat a little bit, drink a coffee. But today we wear it for davening, so like, why? What's the big deal? For 45 minutes, you'll live without it. Okay, let's go back to Mezuzah. Okay, so we're learning that a house, in order to be obligated in Mezuzah, you need 4 amas by 4 amas, which is 6 feet by 6 feet. Now, you're supposed to put the Mezuzah on the right side going into the room. Okay, in fact, if you put it on the left side, it's not kosher, and you have to redo it with a bracha because it was mamish no good. Sometimes you have to replace a mezuzah, we'll learn, with a bracha. Sometimes you have to replace a mezuzah without a bracha. Now, for instance, where do you put the mezuzah? On the door frame, where do you put the mezuzah? So halacha says you have to put it at the bottom of the top third. That means actually, because it's lower and smaller than you think it is. You have to, if you want to do it right, you have to measure the doorway and divide it by 3 and put the bottom of the mezuzah should be touching or right above the bottom of the top third. Now, if you put it higher, it's not a problem, as long as it's a tefach, 3 inches off the top. Okay? So let's say you're supposed to put it 2 feet down, let's say. Let's say the doorway is 6 feet, okay? So you're supposed to put the mezuzah at the end of 4 feet. So let's say you put it up 5 feet, that's still good, as long as 3 inches that there is still off the top. But if it's less than off the top, 3 inches, you have to take it off, but you put it back, not with a bracha. Then you don't need a bracha. If you put a mezuzah on the wrong side, then you need to make a bracha. Now what happens, and this happens very often, if the doorway is very high. People have very tall ceilings, tall doors, and you can have a 15-foot door. So now the question is, where do you put the mezuzah then? Do you put it at the bottom of the top third, which would be, like say if it's 15 feet, you would put it 10 feet high, or do you put it shoulder length? Most opinions say you put it anyway at the bottom of the top third, and that's our minhag. There's a Taz that says if it's a very high doorway, you put it shoulder length of an average person. But most opinions say you put it at the bottom of the top third anyway, even though you're not going to be able to reach it. Like, unless you're 10 feet, but you're not going to reach it.
The top of the bottom one.
The bottom of the top third is what I said, and that's what I meant.
Oh, wow.
That's what a mezuzah. Okay, so the bottom line is, a mezuzah is not made there to kiss. A mezuzah is made to be. Therefore, many times, and people are unaware of this, they have a kid's bedroom, and they want the kid to be able to kiss the mezuzah, so they'll make the mezuzah very low down. If it's below the top third, you're not yaitze. It's not called having a mezuzah. Either kid won't meet him, get him a stool and stand up and kiss the mezuzah. The purpose of mezuzah is not to kiss it. The purpose of mezuzah is have a mezuzah kosher on the door. So therefore, you need to put a mezuzah at the bottom of the top third. Now, sometimes you have a room that has, let's say, a wall and then it has an archway. Yeah? Many times you have like a room off, a bigger room there. So now, how do you count the bottom of the top third? So you count from the place where it's straight. Once the arch starts, that's not the wall anymore. The wall is, if it's 10 tfachim, if it's 40 inches until the arch, if it's 40 inches until the arch, and then it arches up, you have to put it at the bottom of the top third. That means, whatever, huh? 27. No, bottom of the top third. Yeah, well, somewhere like that. No, it's very low, it doesn't matter, but that's where the mezuzah has to go. What?
Because usually I thought you're going to put it above where the arch starts.
No, the arch is not the wall. The arch is already the lentil on top. What? What do you mean?
Kids are not required, are they?
To required to what? No. The mitzvahs to have a mezuzah, not to kiss the mezuzah. The parent's house.
So can you just
If a kid owns his own house, then it's a child if he needs a mezuzah.
walk by without giving any...
The mitzvah is not to kiss the mezuzah.
Just pass by the...
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
If you don't put it at the bottom of the third,
If it's lower than that, you're not yetzer.
middle of the middle is not okay?
No. You have to make it again with a bracha.
Are you always okay with, no, you said you don't make it with a bracha.
What?
That's what you said before.
I said no. I said if you put it up on top, if it's less than a tefach from the top, then when you fix it to put it lower, you don't make a bracha. But if you put it before the lower third, I never said anything about a bracha. If you put it lower than the third, than the top third, you have to make a new bracha. Even if it's a couple inches.
It's a very tall place, and it's the top third is out of reach. Some opinions say you put it still at the.
Were you listening? I said the Taz hold you put his shoulder length, but most poskim disagree, and that's the way we hold. We don't hold like the Taz. We hold, huh?
Are you okay if you put it shoulder length?
No, I said we don't do that. No. Guys, you're supposed to listen when we talk.
Could you rewind the whole thing?
What?
Now rewind the whole thing.
I've never seen that way.
What?
That the door is so high, and no matter how high it is, it's going to be at the lower third of the top third.
You've never seen it. I've seen it, because that's where it belongs. What?
Put it at the bottom of the top third,
Correct.
very bottom, or anywhere the bottom half of the bottom of the top third.
You put it closer to the bottom of the top third. Now, it's kosher up to a tefach of the top. If it's within a tefach of the top, it's not good. You have to take it off, put it lower, but without a bracha. If you put it below the top third, you have to change it with the bracha. If you put it on the left side instead of the right side, you have to make a new bracha. What? The gates in the Bais Din, I don't remember. Gateways, huh? The Bais Din was not mechuyev in the mezuzah anyway. Like shuls are not mechuyev in the mezuzah. Anyway, what?
The bottom of the mezuzah has to be under.
Guys, why do 6-year-olds understand this when you tell it to them? Yeah. You could put it a little bit higher, as long as it's less than 3 inches, as long as it's more than 3 inches from the top.
No, we don't understand it because he punctures our misconceptions.
If it's a very big mezuzah, the top still has to be 3 tefach, I mean, a tefach from the top. Talking about a mezuzah like this.
The top of the mezuzah should be less than a tefach. Less.
The bottom
More-
of the mezuzah might be lower than the top. Really?
So you measure from top to the all the
Then you got a problem. Get a smaller mezuzah. No, I'm serious. Then it's
It's a bigger door.
But it needs a massive door.
a mezuzah is not supposed to be within the tefach of the ceiling of the lentil on top, and it's not supposed to be below the bottom third. So if you have a 10-foot mezuzah, you have an issue.
Here's an example. Right? So you can this 130 cannot be here. You have to
Correct.
be at the bottom of the
This was measured, by the way. Yeah,
So this is above the third. This is 1, 2, 3.
correct. And when you measure it, by the way, when you look with your eye at the top third, it's different than if you actually measure it. When you actually measure it with a ruler, and if your math is good to divide it by 3, you'll see it's lower than you think it is.
Just to be sure, can you just tell us about the normal right there again?
What?
Just so that we see.
It's lower than what
Why?
Can you show us how you found the location, the right location for that mezuzah?
Okay, now let me tell you, before we go into it, let me tell you why the mezuzah is on that side, not on this side. Now, normally, when you go into a room, you have to put the mezuzah the way you go into the room, on the right side going into the room. Now, we hold, based on the Rebbe Rashab, and this the way we hold, but they say all the way back to the Alter Rebbe, that if within the house you have a room and a door, the way the door opens in, that's called the right side going into the room. The only exception of that is the front door. The front door, you always put it on the right side going in. Right side going in.
Even if the door opens out.
Even if the door opens out. Now the reason why this is on the right side, because people that read English, it says please use other door. This door is not an entrance door. This door is an exit door, based on the fire code, by the way. That's why it says please use other door. So that door, even though it opens out, but that's the main door where you're supposed to be coming in. So that mezuzah is on the right side, even though the door opens out. This is not the main door, so therefore, even though the door opens, because therefore when the door opens out, we put it the way the door opens. Now, the only exception to that would be if you have, let's say, a closet in your room, off the bedroom, yeah? And it's dalet al dalet. And you need to have mezuzah. But the door opens into the room. Not into the closet, the door opens in the room. But there's no windows in the closet that you can't get into the room any other way. Then you also put it on the right side going into the room, even though the door opens out. But if there's a window in the room that opens, or even if it's a balcony on the second floor, that's what it was in the previous Rebbe's house in 770, because the Rebbe said, take a ladder, go up onto the porch, and then you go into the house. It's possible to do it. If it's possible to do it, Chabad custom is we go hecker see the way the door opens, and that's it. The only exception to that is, again, the front door, or if it's a room that there's no windows to get into the room, then you have to put it going into the room. You can't put it the way the door opens. What? What? Halachic is what? About coming on time or not? What are you saying? Huh?
You can make a hole in the wall and then come out of the closet.
Most normal people don't make holes in the wall. Yeah. You could redo the door, by the way. It would be easier than making a hole in the door. What?
They make a hole in the doorpost and they place this inside.
No, he's talking about something else. You're talking about in a case where the door closes flush to the wall. Okay? And the mezuzah needs to be on that side. But if the door closes, it's going to knock off the mezuzah. So what do? So in Israel, or many places, they'll make an indentation into the wall, less than a tefach, because if it's more than a tefach, it's not kosher. They make a little indentation, they actually carve out a little bit into the wall, and they put the mezuzah in that area. Because just because the door is going to knock down the mezuzah, doesn't mean you can put the mezuzah on the other side. Because if you put it on the other side, you're not yetz to the mezuzah. You have to put it back with the bracha. So that's what people do. What? Huh? We discussed the other day in a shul you make a bracha because in shul you eat and sleep. A shul al pi din a Beis HaKnesses you're not allowed to eat and sleep in. Right? So then shchnorach, you're not allowed to eat or sleep in a Beis HaKnesses. The reason why everybody eats and sleeps in shul because they're making the chatchil what's called a Beis Medrash, where people learn and daven, so therefore you're allowed to do certain things. So, what? So 1 second. Therefore, to build today, if you have a shul that people eat and sleep, We told they eat this and then they sleep during the speech. So they eat and sleep, so therefore you have to make a bracha.
What's the reason for
When you're taking, when you're talking about mezuzah, is it an actual writing? What if you take the mezuzah and you put a big case? Do you go with
No, you're talking about not the case. You're talking about the actual scroll, right? The instructions, like we said the other day.
This door you're not allowed to come in from? If it's...
What does it say on the door? Please use other door.
But is it approved to come in? Like if
But what is the purpose of this door? To go in or out? Okay, so
Every door that has a mezuzah, you go both ways. If you went in, you're coming back out. So it's not us to go against the mezuzah direction.
What if the door is open? Wide open?
Then you have to.
No, so then you get air. So what, like,
You still can't come in?
yeah, you can come in.
oh, if the door's open, that's the topic of the next board meeting. The next board meeting, the board will discuss if the door's open, if you can sneak in through the open door. Yes.
What's the reason that it has to be on the right side and it has to be on the lower third?
That's halacha mishmasinai. The knesset makes sense because you have to go in to the house. That's what you do. What?
So even though the shul has an enclosed parking lot,
It's nothing to do with it.
there, the gate,
So why does it allow a shoulder?
Why does he allow? Because he owns. That's what.